Yeah, how do you think it would have been different than what Trump would have done in terms of Afghanistan?
So there's a question. Why, even Bill Maher mentioned, why didn't Vladimir Putin invade Ukraine under Trump? Donald Trump was a madman, is a madman, to the point where the left said, he's a madman, and the right was like, he's a madman. And I'm like, I think we all agree he's a madman. But, in varying ways, right? The right was like, he's eccentric, and he's going to do it. He's going to do shocking things. Trump said recently that he was talking to Putin and said, if you go into Ukraine, I'll hit Moscow, I'll nuke Moscow. And he's like, he believed me a little bit, maybe 5-10%, but it's enough, right? I don't like that idea that our president's going to be like, I'll kill 10 million civilians. But then you look at, what Trump was actually doing during this whole conflict. We saw the crushing of ISIS, which Russia was probably like, okay, well, this guy's not crushing my allies like the Obama administration was doing with Syria and basically arming the rebels in the Middle East.
When he was talking about withdrawing from NATO, which would be very pleasing to Russia, right? So if I was Russia and the president was talking about withdrawing from NATO, I would not want to antagonize NATO. Because I wouldn't want to give them a rationale to continue existing.
If you understand Trump, you understand he plays what's called the big ask. What Trump was saying, and many argue he saved NATO, Trump went to NATO and said, you're not paying your fair share for military, and you're expecting the American people to do it. I hear that, and I'm like,
that is true.
I'm absolutely sick of the U.S. being the world police.
The reason they all have the social welfare programs they have is because they don't have the military we have. We're military.
And if Russia encroaches on them, we have to foot the bill for them, while the people here talk crap about us because, look at those countries and everything they get. It's like, yeah, because our troops are over there, and they shouldn't be. Well, what ends up happening is they start paying a little bit more. What did Trump say when he went to this NATO meeting and he said, Germany, you're dependent on Russia. Why is the U.S. footing the bill for NATO to protect you from Russia, and then you're dependent on their oil? You keep doing deals with them. He was right about all that. So the reason why I think Vladimir Putin didn't invade Ukraine, partly is because Trump is a bit, what's the right word for unpredictable and a little crazy, right?
Erratic?
Erratic.
Yeah,
good word, erratic.
Okay.
And so Putin genuinely, I would imagine to a certain degree, was probably like, I'm not sure what he would do if I made these moves. Now, Biden, he's predictable. But with Donald Trump, you get the crushing of ISIS. Syria is Russia's ally. We don't like ISIS. The United States liked ISIS, the government did, because it was destabilizing the Assad regime, and the United States and Western powers wanted to build a pipeline through Syria. So it was also convenient for the West to be like, uh-oh, we accidentally gave weapons to a bunch of jihadis. Trump goes in and blows them all up. You can say, for better or for worse, the drone strikes and all that stuff, but ISIS was decimated under Trump. So of course Vladimir Putin isn't invading. The one way these leftists like to put it is they're like, because Trump was playing to Putin's agenda. And I'm like, crushing ISIS, staying out of Ukraine's affairs, and actually allowing things to semi-stabilize, like the Abraham Accords. Oh, it's no wonder Putin was so upset. But if you're like, that's Putin's agenda, what's your agenda? War? War in Eastern Europe? War in the Middle East? I don't want any of that. I don't think we should be the world police. So when I saw what Trump was doing, I said, I like these things. It's enough for me to vote for. Trump tried getting our troops out of Syria. You know what happened? A high-ranking official lied to the American people about how many troops were in Syria to keep them there. It's insane. That is our commander-in-chief saying the American people want our troops out, and I'm going to make it happen. And they said, yeah, don't worry, Trump, there's only 200 left. Trump tried getting them all out, and they said, we can't do it because of the oil. So Trump publicly comes out and says, we're going to keep 200 people in there, for the oil. And he blurts it out, and I'm like, good. Tell people what we're doing there and why we're doing it. You know what happens? One of the first reports we get when Biden gets back in office is that U.S. troops are moving through Syria again. Do you think Vladimir Putin was happy about that? Syria is an ally of Russia, and Russia has a naval base in Tartus. So when the U.S. is in a country that Russia is allied with, it's not surprising that Putin's going to be like, fires the missiles or whatever. So look, Donald Trump, far from perfect for a lot of ways. I believe that he represents the worst of American culture. Talking privately on a bus or whatever about what, women let you do it. All of these things are crude and crass. He does not represent the office very well in terms of decorum. But when you look at how corrupt the Democratic establishment has been and are today and how they've kicked off all of this conflict, I think Donald Trump would have been the much better choice. I believe that if Donald Trump was still in office, the Afghanistan withdrawal would have gone, I wouldn't say swimmingly, but much, much better. I don't believe those 13...
Couldn't have gone much worse.
No, it was it was a surrender. He surrendered.
No.
The U.S. surrendered.
Joe Biden's administration abandoned the Bagram Air Force Base in the middle of the night without notifying the Afghan security forces. When the Afghani Marines were fighting for their lives, Joe Biden did nothing to assist them. In fact, they didn't even know what Biden was doing.
Whenever I abandoned an Air Force base, I always text.
Always, every
I'm
single
like, hey, just so you,
You
FYI,
let them know.
FYI, 11 p.m. I'm going away.
Andrew, it's
alarm.
considered proper to do it in person. You know
You
to
know what?
go to them and let them know.
I tend to ghost. I know you're not
Break
supposed
up
to.
by text.
This is what
I
I
just,
did.
I'm like, I don't really like Canada anymore. It'll figure it out. It'll figure it out.
Take a look at Keystone Pipeline getting shut down. So anyway, back to
May I add a little bit to your
Yeah,
Russian
yeah.
timeline here? First of all, to key off of something you're bringing up, something that I'm very much bothered by in American discourse right now is the phrase Putin apologist. Now, I don't like Putin, and if you do like Putin, you're a Putin apologist and you're wrong and you deserve
Putin's a